I am so happy to be back here with all of you. And give yourselves a round of applause because you guys are in the home stretch, rounding it out, making sure that you get every last bit of amazing information, all the value that you can get out of this community. So I am so glad that you are all here in the home stretch with me. So thank you. You can applaud, come on. It's you, you're here, the energy, by the way, the energy this year has been incredible. We have learned to create, we have learned to grow, and as Andy and Erica pointed out so eloquently, now it is time to talk about the money. Because as much as we love to create and grow, if we want to serve our community, we must support ourselves. We have to be able to support our families to do the work that we want to do. Now, if you've noticed, outside, and really everywhere the last few days, there's a lot of signage that says, making personal finance personal. There's a reason for that, because when we get personal, that is what leads us to the profits. We have to focus on putting our authentic selves out there. And I've had such a hard time with this. It is a struggle. Erica mentioned I wrote this book, which I'm so proud of, by the way, and it is a very personal book, and we'll talk about that. But before that, I had a whole career as a journalist, as a TV anchor, where I really wasn't able to get personal. And it's only since I became part of this community that I've been able to really maximize that part of myself. And that has led to profits that have been much greater than I ever had in my journalism career. And I have the FinCon community to thank for that. So I want to show you, we're going to go to this one. This was my first FinCon back in 2016. Who's here for the first time? Take the pictures. Take the pictures and keep them organized. You're going to be amazed because you'll be back here maybe 6 years later like me and finally be, this is so cool, on the main stage. And you'll be able to look back and say, wow, that was me 6 years ago. Look how far I've come thanks to the support of this community. So fast forward to 2022, and as Erica mentioned, huge accomplishment for me. This, by the way, in 2016, I had my first book out. It took 6 years. We heard from Chris Browning, it can be slow and steady growth. Did take 6 years, but I did get my second book out. And this one was a very personal book. And we're going to talk more about how hard it was for me to get personal, but what I've learned and how that can help all of you get personal. So a little bit more about me. I have 3 kids, ages 25, 22, and 15. And by the way, it's a complicated, blended family. Launching Financial Grownups, How to Be a Financial Grownup are the 2 books that I've written. I'm also a certified financial planner. Previously, I was a business news anchor, and I do work with brands. All of these have come to me by learning to be personal, learning to step out of my comfort zone and really get honest about what's going on. That wasn't always the case. This is me, back in the day. This is 2016. So I'm here at FinCon with my book, but I still, like many of you, had my full-time job that I was juggling with a husband and the 3 kids and all the things, right? Who can relate to that? Yeah, exactly. It's a lot. Look at the expression on my face. Okay? I'm doing live shots. I've been up since 3 in the morning. I am doing live shots over and over, and I'm hanging on by a thread. And I know a lot of us parents can relate to that. Anxiety, stress, nervousness. Want to know what's really going on? Childcare. So fun, right? So I came to FinCon that year. I had written this first book, and I was inspired. I was going to build a business, and I was going to be my own boss. I wasn't going to have to hide who I was anymore. I wasn't going to have to somehow not let, nope, none of my, you guys are the first ones to see this. My bosses did not know that my child was sitting right there under the teleprompter playing video games while I was doing live TV hits. I was terrified that they would know that I had anything personal going on. Because what would happen if they knew what was really going on? So I worked really hard. I started to build a business behind the scenes. And finally, it came time to leave the job. Who here wants to leave their job? Yes, thank you. Hopefully, it goes well. You're in the right place. So I figure I'll get this big goodbye. They'll be so sad that I'm leaving because I did put in all those long days, all those times. We heard Allison talking yesterday about her children asking, "Why are you always at work, Mommy?" Well, that was me too. And I think that's a lot of us, right? So I finally put in my notice, time to say goodbye, and for all that hard work and all those missed personal moments, what did I get? A cake. That's it. Bye-bye. Thank God I was off to my favorite state, Florida. I love it here. I had booked, with the help of a wonderful agent, who has been mentioned before, hi Adam, I had booked my first big keynote, and this was so exciting. First of all, they paid me. That was huge. They were gonna pay me to speak. They paid for my hotel. They paid for the airfare, everything. It was so cool. I hit the big time, come on. It was awesome, right? What happened later? I had vowed never to speak about, but we're family, so we're gonna go there. But I will just tell you, the evidence has been destroyed. It was a speaking engagement crime scene. It was bad. So this is a sort of reenactment to give you the flavor. Basically, I went down there, and instead of talking about anything that could help anyone there, I talked about all the celebrities that I had met over the years as a TV anchor. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Not good. The speech ended with dead, awkward silence. So bad. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my agent. He's watching this tape and learning for the first time. Did not go well. Anyway, and I asked the woman that hired me, what happened? I feel like, did they not like me? I mean, no one came up to me afterwards, and I don't know. It just didn't feel like they liked me. And she's like, no one knows you. You weren't there. You showed us a bunch of pictures of you with famous people, but you didn't add any value to their lives. You weren't a real person. Thankfully, again, to my great agent, I already had another one booked. And again, no one saw the tape. So, next client. I was hired to be the MC of an event. And they said to me, we want you to talk about something that scares you, something you feel vulnerable about, something that you fear. And I decided to share something that could really backfire. I talked about wanting to get my father's approval for a challenge that I had put upon myself. And I don't know about you, but when we want our parents' approval, it can feel very raw and real. And I had signed up to take this test because, well, frankly, I had imposter syndrome, and I wanted to get this certification that would give me legitimacy. And I had told my father how scared I was, and he just said, I expect you to pass. I know. Anyway, so when the speech was over, guess what happened? People came up to the stage. They wanted to tell me their stories. They wanted to talk to each other about their stories. And the conference organizers were thrilled because I had accomplished their goal. I had gotten the audience to relate to me. I had been my authentic self, and I got them talking to each other. And I got a conversation started, and I got people to be real. And then it got easier. And this is where all of you come in, because I want you to be thinking, how can you make personal finance personal. Because when you make it personal, it will lead to profits. That client hired me over and over at higher and higher paydays because I had gotten personal, because they knew me. They wanted to hire me, even if I was more expensive, right? So what can you pull out that brings it real, that makes it real? This is a photo that was never meant to be seen. My husband would be mortified that I am showing this to you. It was one of those delete right now. But this is real. This is me as a new mom. We've had those long nights, right? What photo would you show that would make you real to your audience? What would you show to make personal finance personal? From this photo, you can talk about so many things tied to money. You can talk about childcare. You can talk about the 529 you're going to start for your child. You can talk about missing work. You can talk about work-life balance, and so on. What can you show your audience that makes you authentic, that hits home with them? I also started investing in my community, spending time with people. Don't show up at an event just before. Don't run out right afterwards. Stay there. Get to know them. Connect with them. Who are they? Ask them questions. Share the tough times. I lost my mom 16 years ago, and there are so many lessons that I've learned from her after she passed. And it makes me sad. So many regrets. What regrets do you have that you can share with your audience to make personal finance personal? Because that connection will lead to profits. Share the proud moments, share the milestones, share life lessons. Share your family, check with them first, of course, just like Instagram, right? Be careful. But if they're cool with it, share your family. Understand what's going on with other people. What can you bring to the table that people can relate to? What are your ways to make personal finance personal for your audience, for your community, for your clients? I love showing behind the scenes when I'm going. I do a lot of local television for clients. Show them behind the scenes. Show them the mess. Show them your dog is your stand-in when you're setting up to shoot segments during the pandemic. That's Waffles, by the way. So cute. She's a Morkie. Show them your wins and show them things that aren't necessarily related to personal finance. What new hobbies have you taken up? What are you trying that's new? What are you going out on a limb for? What are you bad at these days? I'm really bad at golf, by the way. I won the beginner tournament. My friend made me post the photo. I'm really not very good. But I put it out there, and you know what happened? Clients, former clients, potential clients felt connected to me, reached out to me, conversations start, personal leading to profits. And finally, I made it a family business. I brought my family into what I'm doing. And that has resonated so much with audiences. Even walking around here at FinCon, so many of you have come up to me and said, my favorite podcast episode is the one where your stepdaughter gives her personal finance advice. Because it's personal. You can see, when I talk about my daughter, it's real. She really did do all those things. She really did teach me a lot of money saving tips. She's good. Read the epilogue of my book. Excellent information. I really did hire my son to work for me during the pandemic because we had to make it work. And my husband absolutely loves being on the podcast. It's a family business. For me, that works. For you, do what works for you. If it works to have your family in, great. If it works to have your friends in, if it works to have your new FinCon family be part of your business, collaborate with each other. Share your personal stories in each other's contents. Be a community, embrace each other, focus on making personal finance personal, and I promise you, getting personal will lead to profits. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
All right.
Let's hear it for Bobbi, everybody.
Let's give it up for Bobbi.
Hi.
Awesome.
You.
Bobbi, we got a couple questions before you go.
Okay.
You know, you talk a lot about, being personal to profit. And, personally, I'll just say, I love sharing, but then there's sometimes that little boundary of like, okay, how much do I share? Because my family business is my family business. Does everybody need to know everything that's going on? How do you find that balance personally, I guess?
First of all, ask permission. I think that's really important. For some people, it's not necessarily your family, and that's why this is so wonderful, because you have a community here where you can cross-share and share different experiences with your FinCon family, as an example. You also want to be sensitive to things that they might be embarrassed about in the future, right? So think about what you're posting. Think about what you talk about, and if you're not sure, ask them. Tread carefully, especially with family. And I do tend to keep it generally positive, okay? Absolutely. We share, but we can share selectively. And I would finally just think about what is the value to the community of sharing that information. So when Ashley is on my podcast, she is specifically talking about her journey, how she reached her financial goal, and how other people can reach that financial goal. She's not necessarily talking about delicate matters.
Sure.
Let's leave it that way.
That's wise. That's wise. I will tell you that your podcast has been influential in my life as well. I've got a 22-year-old that we've just launched off. And
yay! Can we just applaud that for Erica?
But it's been helpful to hear your podcast where you were real. So I know sometimes that can be scary for both you and family. So how do you overcome the fear of that? Even though it impacts people like me, you have to overcome that a little bit to figure out what to share and what not to share. How do you overcome it?
It is very delicate, and I think you have to tread carefully. Talk it out with them. Make sure it's okay with them, and also think about the impact on the broader community, because sometimes there are people, I mentioned I have a complicated family, and there are exes and biological parents and things like that, so I always try to be sensitive about the kinds of things that we say and being realistic about when you're going to cross that line. If you're ever truly in doubt, pull back. A lot of times we say go for it. When it comes to very personal matters, you want to make sure it's relevant to your audience and supportive of your family, right?
That's good. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobbi. Appreciate it.
Give her
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bobbi.
Thank you.